Howdy folks, Brian Cusco here at Triple B. Unlike pets like dogs, cats, and other mammals that need to be fed every day, snakes can go without food for weeks, months, and even a whole year in some cases. Ball pythons are notorious for being picky eaters, and this can be a cause of great concern for new keepers who were told to feed their snakes every week. Today, we're going to talk about how often you should feed your python. You're watching Triple B TV. As you're watching this, please keep in mind that I only have a few years of experience with ball pythons myself, and I'm still learning and soaking up information from everywhere I can. One thing I learned recently is that when a python is digesting its food, its metabolism speeds up by almost 40 times, and many of its organs double in size, including the heart. Now, this seems to be a source of stress for the animals and might help us realize why some ball pythons will go without eating for so long. Before we get too off track, let's talk about how often to offer food to your ball python. There are many different techniques out there depending on who you talk to. Some people will feed small meals to baby snakes as often as every day in an attempt to get males up to breeding size faster. Some will feed babies average size meals every 5 days or so and change to once a week when the animals are mature. Others offer larger meals every 2 weeks. On the other end of the extreme, feeding adults as much as they will take from the months of September through January and not feeding at all the rest of the year. I've recently decided to take the middle of the road, offering hatchling snakes once a week and sub-adults and adults every 2 weeks. I give them a meal that leaves a decent sized lump in their belly but doesn't cause their scales to separate. I learned this technique from a doctor in genetics who has published papers on everything from parthenogenesis in snakes to using rattlesnakes as models for reproductive studies. I'm hoping we can have him on the show someday. He has so much knowledge that I feel we can all benefit from. I also want to take a second here to give a hats off to all the keepers who came before us and pioneered a lot of this knowledge and helped us to get to where we are today in keeping. We are essentially standing on the shoulders of giants who figured out all the husbandry techniques that we know today through trial and error, figured out what worked and what didn't, and even took the time to write the stuff down in books. So we really owe a great deal to those folks, and I'm hoping that I can find many of them and maybe have them on the channel and have them talk about their experience with keeping snakes before the internet, before there were books on how to keep snakes. I think that would be a really awesome thing to have. So we'll see if we can do that in the future. Okay, back to feeding snakes. The idea is keeping the snakes well fed and growing well while giving them enough time to recover from each meal. This is all in an effort to keep them eating every time they're offered. Not everyone keeps a variety of species that can act as the cleanup crew for refused meals, and who likes having to throw away frozen rodents? The other goal is keeping them healthy and alive for as many years as possible. Every research paper I've ever read says that overfeeding in any species can shorten lifespan. And up until a month ago, I had been offering all my ball pythons a meal every week. Several of my snakes stopped eating. I had one snake that stopped eating for months already. The surprising thing is, she's not losing any weight. If you have an animal that isn't eating, assuming that all of your husbandry is on point, just keep monitoring the weight. As long as they're maintaining weight and keeping healthy body composition, I don't think it's cause for alarm. A couple of my females are gravid as well, so I've actually stopped offering them meals altogether, and I'll start again after they lay. In the end, how much and how often you feed your snakes is up to you. For breeders with hundreds of animals, feeding on a schedule is much more practical. And on the flip side, if you only have a few animals, you can tailor your feeding schedule more to each individual animal. I feed frozen thawed, and it's a process thawing out the rodents, so a set schedule for all the animals is much more practical for myself. So finding a schedule that keeps every animal eating every time offered is a goal I'm working towards. In a perfect world, I would have a supply of live feeders on hand at all times to offer to animals who are giving me that look, like they're ready for a meal right that second. Maybe someday. Not today. So still lots to learn here. I hope you are enjoying the journey and learning together with me. Next week, we're going to do an update on my most recent clutch of clown ball pythons. Until then, you've been watching Triple B TV. Y'all take care. Some of you... As some of you who follow the channel, as some of you who follow the, to keep them eating, them eating, them.